What's going on, guys? Today we are going to talk about how to actually form and create habits so you can become that dream person. Before we get too deep into this, I'm going to go ahead and ask everyone to like and subscribe and um, join the Discord in my bio for a lot more in deep and more things like this. Going into this, I want to completely wipe your mind from everything you heard before. A lot of main media pushes the idea that it's all about willpower and you just got to keep your head down, keep on, some David Goggins shit, right? But that is not how habits are made. That's not how you become that person you want to be. You are going to have to put some work in, you are going to have to work hard, but that's not going to work. Um it's probably not going to work, at least. I'm not too sure, but it definitely has not worked for me no matter how hard I tried. So, getting into the actual biology that creates habits, we are able to, use our brain to our advantage. So, I'm going to get into the actual science behind it. So, getting into the actual science, starting with the prefrontal cortex, this is the thinker in the brain right here. It's going to think its way, it's going to logic its way out of most scenarios, and it takes up a lot of energy. It's the reason why it's more difficult to start something than to actually do it. In a lot of cases, it's the reason why it's so difficult to start something because the prefrontal cortex just is logicking, it's just thinking and thinking and thinking, and the more we think, the harder it is, right? So I'm now going to talk about the basal ganglia. This is the most important thing when it comes to making habits because this is where habits live. It is the autopilot. So basically the whole, point of this is to switch things from our prefrontal cortex to our basal ganglia eventually. And the basal ganglia is the reason why we don't have to think when we breathe. We don't have to think about it, why we can just put one foot in front of the other and walk and not think about it. Using that to our advantage, we can create habits. So let's get a little bit deeper into this, understanding the actual brain and how it works. Psychologists call, explain the brain, they call it neuroplasticity. And that basically just explains that the brain is a big old jungle filled with thoughts and, bullshit, right? So, what we need to do is carve paths in this jungle that we have, if that makes sense. And the more that we work and do things, the easier these paths become. So, I'm going to give you guys a couple tips and stuff to maybe that have helped me and maybe they'll help you too. But I call it the 2 minute rule. It takes 120 seconds for the brain to deem something too difficult, too complicated. So if you take 120 seconds to do a task, then your brain deems it something that's too difficult, and your brain almost goes into this survival instinct, this freak out mode, and it makes it really difficult for you to do things. So what I try to do is in under 120 seconds, I get up and I do something, right? Whatever it is that I need to do. When I think about that, in under 120 seconds, I do that thing. And at the beginning, that might be really difficult, but a couple things that I did was if I'm already procrastinating something, maybe taking a little bit to do something, and my brain's already in this kind of nervous state, I'll take a big deep breath, drink some water, and I'll almost forget about this thing, right? And when that task comes back to my brain, that is when I will do it, right? I don't wait, I don't think about it. I get up and I do it. And that kind of reminds your brain that, oh, this isn't as difficult as my prefrontal cortex was, making it out to be. Another tip is just actually making things easier for you. Like I said before, the prefrontal cortex is a big thinker, and the more it has to think, the more difficult it is going to be to do something. For example, making something easier could be something like putting your supplements or vitamins on top of your coffee maker so you don't have to actually remember to take them. Your eyes just see it because, that's something that you're already used to, right? You're already in the habit of, drinking your coffee in the morning. Or that could be putting your gym shoes next to your bed. For me, I have a whole backpack with, all the things that I bring to the gym just so I can pick it up and I can go to the gym. And I found that that has helped, a lot for me. Now I'm already in that habit. So another thing that I do, when I'm on the treadmill, it's became a habit. I do cardio every single day. So, now that I'm so used to this and I'm getting this kind of dopamine hit, if that makes sense from, running and stuff and or walking, whatever it is I'm doing that day, now I kind of stack something on top of that. So I will start listening to an audiobook. And it's a lot more easier to do that thing when you're already doing something. So I kind of call this like habit stacking. And you can almost make habits on top of old habits, and it's a lot easier. So just a little recap for you guys. The more we do things, the easier it is. And we need to stop, deeming for perfection, because perfection, in my opinion, you're never going to achieve perfection. But, farther down the road, we're definitely going to get closer to that. But that's not something we need to think about right now. So, action always beats perfection. So, just taking a task, no matter how sloppy, how messy it is, it's already, carving that pathway in the jungle of our brain a little bit, and that makes it easier and easier and easier. Small steps lead to big goals, I'm sure you guys have all heard that before, but it is really true. And we can do that in basically every aspect of our lives. So, again, perfection will never be action. Just action, 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 and get up and do it. And I know you guys can do it. I know I did it, so I know you guys can. And that's it. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Have a good night.